Welcome to Animania Chronicles, where we dive deep into the captivating worlds of anime, dissecting stories, unraveling characters, and sharing our passion for all things animated. Alrighty adventurers, today's the day we start our epic journey through the Dungeon of Black Company. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the action, adventure, and everything else that made this anime so captivating. The story starts with a young man named Kinji Ninomiya. He looked down on the wage workers who worked hard every day for their money. Then, we learned that he put all his money into Bitcoin. As a result, he became a Bitcoin millionaire and invested his money to build 3 skyscrapers. He became a top earner and never planned to work again in his life. Suddenly, a black hole appeared in his apartment and he was teleported to another world. After that, he looked around and was confused after seeing the monsters in front of him. A few months passed and Belsa, the director of Raha Demonite Mining Corporation, made an announcement that they needed to work even harder. We then learned that he was teleported to a magical world full of monsters and dungeons. But with modernization, the world changed dramatically. The ore found in dungeons was used as an energy source. Then, we see Ninomiya mining, and his coworker was losing his mind because Surya had been working for 3 months without taking a day off. Suddenly, the team leader of his group showed up, and he was angry because Ninomiya could only reach 15% of his quota. Ninomiya hated being exploited in this world. He got tired of working 16 hours every day and started crying. Meanwhile, a guy named Wanabe was being yelled at by his supervisor. Ninomiya couldn't help him and decided not to intervene in this conversation. Suddenly, he dropped a gold coin on the floor that he needed to buy food. The coin rolled into a small hole, and Ninomiya discovered an opportunity to change his life. In the night, he was looking for Wanabe and invited him out for a drink. Wanabe told him that their team leader was mad because he wasn't at work this afternoon. Then, Ninomiya told his story that he is 20 million in debt because his first business failed. He said he tried to make money through dropshipping, but it didn't work. As a result, he ended up in the mining company and worked like a slave. He planned to become a top earner again and explained to Wanabe about his plan to get rich. The following morning, he was almost scolded, but he asked if he could go on a prospecting tour. Ninomiya's team leader was happy about this and wished him good luck. Then, we learned that a prospecting tour is a slang term that means a small group goes deeper into the dungeon. A short time later, Wanabe said that it was very dangerous down in the dungeon. Ninomiya replied that he didn't have to worry and showed him a hidden portal. He said that this passage is safe and that they can get to the 3rd floor of the dungeon. After arriving on the 3rd floor, there was demonite everywhere, which was worth twice as much as the demonite on the 1st floor. After that, they started mining, and Wanabe was grateful that Ninomiya gave him this great chance. Ninomiya replied that he had top earner potential and feels that they will make a lot of money as a team. A few hours later, they collected a large amount of expensive ore, and they were planning to go back. Suddenly, a dangerous monster appeared who planned to eat them. They were attacked, but Ninomiya and his friend managed to dodge it. Then, they hid from the monster, and Ninomiya thought he was going to die. He didn't want to die and came up with a plan. After that, he pushed Wanabe and said that he will be his bait. As a result, Wanabe was caught by the giant monster and thought that Ninomiya ran away before Wanabe could be eaten. Ninomiya appeared and learned that the monster's name was Rim. Then, he made Rim an offer to protect them from other monsters, and in exchange, he would get her delicious food. Rim found Ninomiya interesting. Ninomiya used all his business skills to convince her. Rim accepted the deal, and she turned into a cute girl. Ninomiya was happy to have survived, and he sensed that this deal would change his life. A few weeks later, he was praised by his team leader because his results were insane. Meanwhile, Ninomiya was angry because he lost more money on food for Rim, who was eating more like Nick Avocado. Following this, Ninomiya decided to make more money and went back into the dungeon. Wanabe noticed that all over this area were magic items. Suddenly, Rim said that this area is the toilet for her and the other monsters. He was shocked by this, and Rim told him that she is hungry. Wanabe decided to cut off his tail, and Ninomiya learned that his tail will grow back. He started acting weird after that, and Rim explained to him that he is hypnotized. Ninomiya learned that it was caused by the magic item, and he used it to hypnotize his coworkers. Ninomiya thought he was Jeff Bezos and took advantage of the sleepwalker staff to brainwash his coworkers. Then, Wanabe said it is wrong to brainwash their coworkers. Nomiya replied that he doesn't have to worry because he will erase their memories of the end of this day. As a result, Nomiya made a huge amount of money, and his co-workers were enslaved. In the evening, Nomiya tried to enjoy a hot bath, but Rim peed in the tub. In the meantime, his co-workers were wondering why they are feeling so tired. The following day, Nomiya was motivated to make a lot of money, and one of his co-workers didn't want to work anymore. As a result, Nomiya used the magic item again to hypnotize his co-workers. Wanabe told him that his co-workers are at their limit. He didn't listen to his friend and ordered Rim to increase the power. Suddenly, the sleepwalker staff fell apart, and his co-workers were no longer hypnotized. Nomiya's co-workers came to their senses, and they were very angry with him. He was beaten up by his co-workers, and Rim was hungry. She tried to eat Nomiya, and his plan to get rich and become a top earner failed. In the days that followed, Nomiya went to work and was despised by his co-workers. Then, he found a letter, and he wondered why Wanabe thought that he will die. The reason for this was that they were transferred to Explorations Division Group 8. Later, Nomiya was almost killed by a slime, and Wanabe tried to save him. Nomiya hated working for this terrible company. Then we learned that the Raha Mining Company is divided into many different divisions. Exploration is the core of its corporate revenue, and for this reason, there are also different groups that have specific tasks in the dungeon, such as killing monsters and expanding the mining areas. Nomiya was transferred to Group 8, which was responsible for supporting those who fought on the front lines. They must clean up mob monsters, and they were viewed as dropouts. Nomiya didn't plan on spending the rest of his life with cleaning mobs, and Wanabe was depressed. Then he tried to cheer up his friend and said that he can't give up his dream of becoming rich. Suddenly, Wanabe was attacked by a mimic, and he said that he can't breathe. Nomiya looked for a potion that could save his friend, but he didn't find something useful and decided to use their magic bag to attack the mimic. In the evening, he was scolded by his superior, and Nomiya learned that he had to pay off the magic bag with the items it contained. As a result, Nomiya was broke again and had no money to buy food. He still needed to feed Rim and stole a garbage bag full of leftover food. Rim started to eat the leftovers, but she suddenly stopped because she smelled something delicious. She found marbled meat that Nomiya bought for a cheap price. He tried to stop Rim from eating his precious marble meat, but she kicked him into the wall. Later, Nomiya was back at work and was ordered to refill the treasure boxes. Afterwards, he entered the dungeon and he was completely exhausted. Suddenly, he met a guy from Group 3 who was running towards the exit. He was relieved after seeing Nomiya and planned to use him as food for some monsters. A few moments later, huge ants appeared behind them and the two started running away. Nomiya learned that they are dungeon ants and Group 3 had failed to eliminate them. Following this, Nomiya spotted a river and he jumped into it. He saved Shin and planned to use the phone. Nomiya tried to call for help, but his superiors thought he was lying. Nobody believed him that monsters were on their way to the surface because they usually never leave their territory. Then, the dungeon ants were on their way to eat them. He didn't intend to die and tried to find a way out. At the last second, he got a brilliant idea and he looked at a blue box. A few moments later, we see that Nomiya's plan worked. He mixed dungeon ant feet with a transformation potion. As a result, they were able to transform into dungeon ants and managed to survive. Unfortunately, the gate out of the dungeon was locked and there was no way out. Soon after, an ant collapsed from exhaustion and Nomiya realized that they could understand the dungeon ant's language. He got his next top G plan in mind and started talking to an exhausted ant. Following this, he manipulated the ant with his business skills. Nomiya explained to him that he is exploited and that he should expect more from life. Nomiya tried to turn the ant against his boss and asked if he is angry about never getting a day off, even though he works hard every day. Nomiya then convinced the ant to work for him, and he was surprised at how easy it was. Everything went according to his plan, and he convinced more and more ants to work for him. Shin and Mutton Roshi wondered what Nomiya was up to because after a short time, he gathered a large group of dungeon ants. Suddenly, Nomiya began to turn the fellow worker ants against their queen. That's all for today. Stay tuned for the next part. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the vast realms of anime. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for more thrilling reviews and discussions. Until next time, keep exploring the boundless wonders of anime with us.